Hello and welcome to a single digital keyring, how and why to implement a password vault. Today we are going to talk more on the personal side because while businesses have different methods similar methods to be able to protect password information and online payment information, this session is really going to be focused on you, your personal protection, why password vault is really critical and a key part of your digital world, candidly. So my name is Nathan Austin. I'll be presenting today and demonstrating as well. And Stephanie Kingsley is behind the scenes doing the producing, and she will be kind of staffing and making sure the Q&A is answered. We will have approximately 30 minutes of content today where we'll kind of go through some of the key points. I'll actually demonstrate the key steps to set up a password vault, and then there'll be one slide at the end. This is the one people, I know people like oftentimes take screenshots or take pictures of slides. There's one slide at the end that is summarizing the key steps to take so you don't forget an important step as you, hopefully as you're going to set up your own password vault if you don't have one set up already. Okay, so again, we're going to discuss some of the key reasons why a password vault is essential, especially part of your online security. We are going to demonstrate some of those steps, review the action items, as well as we've got events planned out through the end of the year. So stay tuned for those and check out our events page, and I'll remind you about that at the end. The Q&A, open for questions. The Q&A is open right now. Stephanie will either answer those offline throughout the presentation, or we will just answer them at the end and help you with any clarifying questions that you might have. So I look forward to that. So, but go ahead and start either now or throughout the presentation. If any question comes to mind, by all means, please go ahead and enter it in the Q&A. All right, let's spend 1 minute on MyTech. It's not about MyTech. One of the things we always like to let people know is that we are a business and technology consulting service. We work with small and medium-sized businesses to basically implement a proven IT strategy. It's not the only strategy, and it's not the only way to do things, but we've learned a lot over the last 20 years, and we've hand-selected different vendor partners and an approach and standardization that we know that working with our clients can achieve proven results. Basically, we know that it removes IT challenges, it minimizes the amount of time your team spends on IT problems, and together we can achieve 4 times more value and productivity from your IT investments. What we hope that does for you, our client, is that there are plenty of other challenges that your business faces day to day, quarter over quarter, year over year. We hope that this makes you a little bit more adaptable and able to spend more time addressing those other challenges as opposed to handling and dealing with IT problems. So enough about that. If you'd like to learn more, by all means, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you and love to have a conversation. Otherwise, let's dig in with regard to your password vault. Okay. I want to be a little serious with you here, or a lot serious, actually, why a password vault needs to be part of your personal online security. Even myself, I've known this for a long time, at least the last couple of years, and I've been reluctant to set it up. And that's one of the reasons why we chose to do this session today, is because, and why we wanted to focus this session on you as opposed to on your business. Now, the same principles apply to your business, but individually, it's also very important from an identity theft perspective, from just keeping your key information secure with good complex passwords. But the problem is, we're all human. And I know that while I try and vary my passwords, there's similarities to different passwords that I've used over the years, and this will help you solve that problem. And I know I've been guilty also of saving passwords inside of browsers. In fact, I'm going to show you that today, and I left some in there because I want to use that as an illustration of how you need to go through and eliminate those as you set up your password vault. Because one of the big reasons why is because browsers are not the most convenient. While they're convenient, they're not the most secure place. Now think about it, and the reason why we're talking personally to each and every person listening now or in the future is that as a corporation, companies like MyTech or internal IT teams are responsible for keeping your browsers up to date, your security patched, your antivirus up to date, all the other security precautions in place. But individually, if you have a personal laptop or a personal desktop, are you as diligent as a company like MyTech is, or maybe your internal IT team is, at keeping your browsers up to date and secure? Probably not. For those of you that are, congratulations, and I'm glad you're able to do that. But most of us probably are not doing as diligent a job as we should in order to keep our browser secure. And so think about it. A lot of us store our sensitive, personal, financial, and password information to all of our digital world inside of our browsers because it's convenient. But the problem is it's not secure. So that's one of the big things, one of the big problems we're going to be solving today. The other challenge, as I mentioned earlier, is we're human beings. It's hard for us to come up with all these different variations of passwords and then try and remember them, because then it's that much harder to enter them actually into the different browser, into the different login screens that you have for the different applications and web portals. This will help solve that problem. You can create not only extremely complex passwords, but there's really only one master password that you have to remember, and everything else is kept can be kept very complex as far as the complex passwords, and it makes it simpler for you. So generally, this actually makes security more convenient. I'm not kidding. Not only more convenient, but more secure. That's rarely the case when it comes to security. Usually it's security versus convenience versus security and convenience. So we're going to talk about that today. Finally, you can manage passwords across multiple devices. I know, for instance, again, I was guilty of having my passwords in an Excel spreadsheet. But when I'm accessing my mobile phone and I'm trying to then pull up a browser, now I don't remember that. So one of the things that a password vault enables you to do is save information into a password vault, and you can leverage it across not only a laptop or desktop, but your mobile phone as well. So that way it makes it a lot easier for you to remember and keep those passwords in a secure place, because I'm not just talking about your desktop or your laptop as far as keeping those the passwords in your browsers. I'm also talking about how you store it on your mobile phones. So we're going to hit that too. The last point that I'm going to touch on here as far as a big why, and I want everyone, I know this is going to be a little bit of a somber moment, but for legacy planning. Through our peer group, we've been participating in a peer group, an IT kind of owners, managers peer group for the last almost 15 years. And over those years, we've definitely encountered, and even we've had some clients over the years who've passed away unexpectedly, and their digital world was left completely unavailable to their either business partners or life partners, and it was a real challenge. And so not only that, but other family members. If you're an adult child, you might have parents that this might be something that you're concerned about. You know, one of the ways you can use a password vault is you as a family can share access to this information to keep it not only secure, but make sure if something happens to you, unexpectedly or unfortunately, that your family can still access that information. Again, I know that was not what you probably expected to hear from us today, but I know that that's one of the areas where this can actually help you manage that across your family and keep those things not only secure, but also accessible in case something unexpected happens. Okay, so those are some of the big whys. Let's go into just a quick demonstration and make sure that we can check this out and see, you know, how easy this really is. Now, there are some complexities though, so it's one of the reasons why we wanted to walk you through it today. Okay, moving on. So here we are. We're going to demonstrate the steps and tips to set up a password vault. Okay. Oh, one last thing I forgot to mention on the password vault is it's not just your passwords I want you to keep in mind throughout this session. It's also your payment information. How many of you, again, you don't have to raise your hand because you're not on video. I know I'm guilty of this, or I have been guilty of this, is keeping your credit card information saved in your browser. So when you populate, you may be doing some online shopping and it asks you to put in your credit card information and it saves it. So we're also talking about saving your payment information. So keep that in mind. All right, so I am going to switch over to my browser now. I actually have saved a search. You know, one of the ways in which you might go about choosing a password vault is by doing a search, password vault manager, which I just did, and you'll see a bunch of ads. So Gartner Magic Quadrant is definitely one of the ones to keep in mind as far as a real review. But some of the other articles and reviews and ads that I saw, I didn't feel, it felt like this one here, I think was one of those articles, and I'm not trying to say anything against safety detectives, but I found an article like this where it looked like that the top 10, quote unquote, was really influenced by the advertisers. Or those who are maybe getting a kickback or something like that. So just beware of that. I'm not saying that this is the company that's doing that or any of these companies are doing that, but that's just something that I saw. And I just wanted to, advise you of that. And there's lots of different ones out there, but one of the ones that we actually strongly recommend, and I'm going to scroll down here because it took me a while to find it, but is LastPass. So there's two reasons why I really like LastPass as an option. First of all, the free version of LastPass, because nearly every one of the products out there has a free version, but from what I saw, every other product out there, if they have a free version, only allows you to manage passwords on one device. That means you have to choose maybe either your phone or your laptop or desktop to be able to manage. But the free version of LastPass does allow you to have one account across multiple devices. So that's definitely something that I thought was really nice as far as if you're just trying to use this for yourself individually. If you want to then add the family on, as I alluded to earlier, that does have a dollar amount associated with it. It's $4. It's $4 a month or $48 a year, if I did my math correctly. So it's not that expensive, and it's definitely something that I've invested in for my family. Okay. And the second reason why we recommend LastPass, and this is probably the most important one, is that it was recommended to us by a former NSA cyber warfare operative. That's right, someone who used to work at the NSA and used to actually unofficially or theoretically hack nation states on behalf of the United States government. Said that that's the one. He actually knows the founders of LastPass. He knows the security that they do, and that's the one he recommends. Good enough for me. So that's one of the ones that we recommend for those two key reasons. All right, with that said, so I just wanted to kind of talk about a little bit what you might find if you just go out and search. So I actually I went ahead and opened up LastPass here. So here are those different plans that I was talking about. The free version, as it mentioned, this is the one we're going to demonstrate today. Password management access across all your devices. That's one of the key differentiators of this version. There again is a premium version for an individual, and then for families. This is actually something that when we compared against other programs, you can have up to 6 premium licenses so that each, the different members of your family can have access and you can share, and there's a family dashboard, and that's $4 a month. So that's very affordable considering if you have more than one person in your family, $4 a month comes across really easy. Okay, again, I'm not trying here to sell LastPass either, by the way. It's just something that I did do some comparison as well as the recommendation that we received from the NSA warfare operative, cyber warfare operative. I decided to start with that. So let's dig in. So you just click very conveniently here, get LastPass free. It's going to ask you to create an account. So I'm actually going to use my demo account right here, mtp365.com. I actually already wrote down a password just to make sure that I didn't have to try and think of one while we were here on the session today. There we go. So it kind of tells you if it's password strength, so that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm it down here. Oops, I got it. I'll just put demo is the reminder. Okay, so I'm going to say sign up, it's free. Now I'm in a Chrome browser. I've actually already installed this in my Chrome, in my Edge browser here from Microsoft. So that's why I wanted to use the Chrome. And of course, notice this, I'll show you this later. Do I want to save this password? The answer moving forward for everybody who's going down this path is no. I'm going to show you where to turn that off at the end of this, at the end of the demo. So I'm going to say never, because I do not want them to remember this password. That's the whole point. Okay, so now what I want to do is say install LastPass. So I'm hoping that it doesn't make me reboot, but I'm going to say add to Chrome. All right, and I'm going to say add extension. Here we go. So it doesn't take very long. It's only going to take it's adding it right there. Hopefully LastPass should come up here in the moment. All right, just let me get 1 second here as it's going. Let's see here as it goes. Here it goes as it's going, and it's almost like it's going to be your new junk drawer for it's going to be your new junk drawer for your passwords and your payment information, right? You just put all that stuff in there. Let's see here. go, please. Of course, live demos, right? Get started, almost done. Is it blocking something? Forgive me. Well, I might just have to go and show you the other one that I have installed. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So it might have had a pop-up block or something like that. So like I said, this is why demos. I wanted to show it live, but here we'll just go into my Edge browser. I wanted to pop this up. So this is what you'll see, at least in the Edge browser. This is what the LastPass extension does. I might go back to Chrome and see if that pops up, but this is what the LastPass extension does. So I'm going to click on this. So now it's going to say, hey, go to my digital world. I'm going to say open my vault. I set this up as a secondary account because as I was testing some different pieces here. Here is where you can set up the account. And then I'm just going to emulate, actually this is what I'll do. So I set up the account, created the master password, installed it as the extension. What it's going to ask you to start doing is adding, for instance, I added my Facebook login, my personal Facebook login. I use a longer email for that account. And so it asks you to start doing those things. Now, I also wanted to add it to my phone. So one of the things that I'd recommend you doing, even either simultaneously or maybe one order or another, but here's a part that I really want you to do. Now, when you go into LastPass, what I did, I'm going to go back and I'll show you again what I did. Click on here as a little drop down and go to account settings. This is an important variable that you want to make sure that you do. At the very least, you want to go and set up what is called the SMS account recovery, the account recovery options. So for me, this is my corporate phone. So this is my corporate cell phone. And so this is the corporate phone that I set up for my demo account or the setup extra account recovery. So I added that to my phone. So this is something that allows you to recover it in case you potentially forget your password. Then the other thing you can do is that I also recommend is going up to multi-factor options. Notice there's tabs across the top. There's other things you can do if you want to get more sophisticated with it. But these two things in general, definitely, again, setting up the account recovery and then going to multi-factor authentication options. I actually attach this to MyTech uses a Microsoft Authenticator for multi-factor authentication. And so I actually attach this one to our Microsoft account, but also LastPass Authenticator. If you're not familiar with LastPass using multi-factor authentication tools like Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, etc., you can download and install LastPass. What I want to do here is I'm actually going to show you. Let's see if I can pull up, and I'm going to try and screen mirror. Please let me screen mirror. Might have to restart that. Here, I'll restart that. It doesn't like to keep it going, which is okay. So I want to restart the screen mirroring, and I'll show you really quick. So that's going live there. Okay, so there we go. So now I've got a screen mirror. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up LastPass. So you can see LastPass here. Got my Face ID. Okay. So this is where you can actually add different items into your vault from your from your phone. And this is where you can set up your passwords. You can choose Wells Fargo. You can choose Facebook. You can choose the different ones that are available in your LastPass. You can also add payment cards here, bank accounts, other addresses, secure notes, etc. But this is where you can also, when you go into your phone, there's a key point that I'd like you to know. And normally, because I've already verified this phone, it didn't ask me to do it again, but normally it would actually send you an email to the account that you used to set up, and you'd have to verify that email in order to make sure that you can use the phone. Again, it's another layer of security. What I want to do is I'm going to go to my phone settings. One of the things that if you scroll down, you'll find this one here, which is passwords and accounts. This is an iOS, so this is an iPhone, but they have passwords and accounts. when you click on passwords and accounts, there's a couple things I want to show you here on your phone, because this is also where you're going to want to remove certain accounts. So for instance, you click on the autofill, you'll see this here. And what I've done is I've selected LastPass. So you can turn autofill on and LastPass, and that'll allow you to autofill your passwords into the different applications you have or browsers that you open up on your phone by basically going into settings and making sure you turn that on. Now, when you actually set that up and add your phone to this, it walks you through that, but it's something that I thought is good to kind of note to turn these on. While I'm here, I'm actually going to click on the website and app passwords. This is part of the cleanup that you're going to want to do. I left a bunch of them in here just so you can see the point. Like, these are some different accounts that I have saved usernames and passwords in my phone. So what I'm going to recommend is that use that list as your guide. Now, your browsers on your laptop or desktop have that too. I'm going to show you that as well. But use that list as a guide to then start adding different passwords to your account. Right? So go through and say, hey, I'm going to click here. I've got my, it's going to want my Face ID. I've got my Airbnb account. Okay, well, let's set that up with LastPass and then delete it. Remove that account from your phone, so that way you don't have to worry about it anymore. So you can not only use that as your list to make sure you're setting up the new account, but you can also then basically remove it after you're done. So use that as your checklist. Okay, so that's just really what I wanted to show you on the mobile phone really quick. So I'm going to turn off the screen mirroring, but I'm going to show you another setting here. Let me just go to my list really quick. MFA. Okay, so I wanted to show you where to go in the browser. Okay, so I'm going to click back to this browser here, or this tab. So if you go up here, this is in the Edge browser. I'm going to show you in the Chrome one as well. If you go to the Edge browser, basically you go down here to settings. Okay, see that down here. Click on settings. It'll show you profiles. You've got different profiles. So in your settings, the two pieces that you really want to work on are right here. This is the list you want to use. That list I just showed you on your mobile phone, this is the same place to go for inside of your browsers. So when you click on your passwords and your payment info, you're going to want to click, when I click on that, these are all the different ones that I have in here from some different corporate accounts. I'm actually going to make sure to go through and change all these, because I'm going to, and also once I go through and get rid of all of these, they're in my browser. Again, I've been guilty, as I mentioned, of this, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you personally today versus at a business level, is turn off offering to save passwords, so your browser no longer does that, and turn off sign in. And when you go through and you're done, you can come here and say delete. Just delete the accounts. Just go down and delete them. Once you've changed them over, you don't need them anymore. So you want to get rid of your browser actually managing your passwords. Use the LastPass extension to fill in the browser. So as you're going through that, so use this as your guide, okay, as I mentioned, and you can do that also with your payment info. But as you're going through that, here's one little tip. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to click on the little LastPass extension up here, and notice there's this generate secure password option. Now, many of us, we don't often generate as secure a password as we could or should if we took the extra time and if we wanted to have everything varied and random as much as we would like to. But this is a way where you can actually accomplish that. So you click on this here. So as you're going through and you're resetting your passwords, and it's the key, how many of you would have thought of this password? I know I wouldn't have. So what you can basically do, let's say you went to your banking like Wells Fargo or US Bank or TCF, or I'm not trying to leave out any banks, by the way, Choice Bank or Highland Bank, and that was your account. Well, you can choose the different variables that you need, that you'd like, and you can choose the password length, and then you can choose the password. And then so if you're in that site, you can just say fill the password, and it'll actually fill it into the site that you may be in. So you might have to actually log in. You probably will have to log into your accounts initially, go to the reset password spot, and then you can use this generate password feature. And I'm going to click back so you can see that. So click on your LastPass, go down to generate secure password, and you can choose the length and all these variables, and it'll show you if it's a good, it'll make sure that it's a good password, and then you can say fill password or copy and paste. Notice this is a different password. And that would be a way in which you can start not only resetting your passwords to a more complex, more secure password, more difficult to remember, to hack password, and saving it in LastPass at the same time so that you really don't ever have to remember that again. You just have to remember that master password that you created at the very beginning, and that's the password that'll get you access to the rest of your digital world. Okay. Those are the key variables that I wanted to go through today. Again, I didn't actually set up any of those passwords, but I wanted to show you the key points to setting it up. So getting your account set up, turning on the recovery. In fact, I've got the next slide. In fact, let me just go to my slide that I actually set up to make sure I didn't miss any of those things, is that select the password vault. Again, we like LastPass. Again, as I mentioned, there's several reasons why, and there's others out there too, so choose which one you feel is best for you. Then you're going to create an account and a really complex password. It'll give you advice as far as if it's strong or not. The things you're going to want to do right away is set up the account recovery. I don't know how every single password vault does this, but I'm sure there's a way to connect it to a mobile phone so that you can make sure that that's a way in which you can recover your account if you forgot your password. And then adjust account security settings as you'd like. You can say don't allow logins outside of the United States or outside of other countries you might travel to. Turn on multi-factor authentication. Those kind of things are ways in which you can set up the additional account security settings. Install LastPass into the browser. Again, unfortunately, when I was trying to do that live with Chrome, it didn't work, but I had it already set up into the Edge browser. Get those extensions going. Also download the mobile app so you can get it on your mobile device. Again, typically you're going to have to verify via email how that's set up. Again, so you're going to authorize the phone to connect to your LastPass, and that's going to be done via email and just kind of accepting a link. Begin the process of adding accounts and passwords, as we mentioned. So I do recommend, as I alluded to, changing the password using the generate secure password capability. I don't know if every single password vault has that capability, but it'll list that as one of the feature sets if it does. I think a lot of them do from what I did, from the different research I did. A lot of them, if not most of them, have it, but that's something you should be able to find. And then use your existing saved passwords in your browser or Excel sheet, if you still have an Excel sheet, as a guide to go through, set up those different accounts, reset the password, and then get it out of your Excel spreadsheet, get it out of your browser so that now you're clearing that information out. Again, that's kind of the final and critical step. Make sure that you remove that stuff out of your browser and tell your browser settings, don't ask to save passwords anymore. Don't autofill the passwords. Use the LastPass extension in the browser so that you can actually, not only for your passwords, but also, again, don't forget about your saved payment information. That's an important variable too. Okay, so before I move on from this slide, so again, this is kind of that one snap slide that I wanted to suggest, but there's another item that we're going to share an article with you that will come out. We'll just send it as a link in the follow-up email that we send after this session. In addition to the recording, it was by Brian Krebs. If you've heard of Krebs on Security, he actually put together a list where he calls it planting your digital flag. And it was a fascinating article. It's something I had never really thought about. It's really where some people might say, well, I don't have to worry about online security because I don't do anything online. I don't bank online. I don't, do my financial management online. I don't worry about that stuff. Well, the problem is that with as much information that does exist about you, regardless of whether or not you do information online, someone else could actually set up those accounts in your name. And I'm thinking of probably not the people that are listening, but you might know people or family members that feel this way, where they're choosing to not do any of that. Well, this might be one of the reasons to plant your digital flag. And Krebs in this article basically goes through all of the different accounts and that if you don't have set up, and there was someone there that I do a lot of things online, but I didn't have set up either. So I would encourage you to look at this, because that could also be an additional guide in addition to the accounts that you have, like going through your browser settings and maybe your Excel spreadsheet if you still have it. Go through this article and look at the different accounts that he recommends you set up to, again, as he said, plant your digital flag, which means you control it. You have an account, you can set up a complex password, and it minimizes somebody else potentially using identity theft and your information that is available online to take over those accounts. It'd be much harder to get access to them if somebody else has happened to have done that. Okay, so that is really the end of the session, but I did want to ask a few things. One, as we send this stuff out, love for you to like or follow us on LinkedIn or Facebook. We always publish these events. Not only do we send them out via email, but we do publish them in those social venues. Share these events with any of those who can benefit. Again, this session, it was really important to me that we talked about some of the key things to set up password vaults for you as an individual and or you and your family. Because we spend a lot of time talking to our clients and our corporations that we work with and or our jobs about password security and all this stuff, but we don't always talk about the personal side. But that's just as important. In fact, sometimes even more important from an identity theft perspective, because you are most likely more vulnerable than the company that you work for. And so this is really important, and it's something that we want to do from a care and share perspective for trying to make a difference in the community. Okay, join us for future events. As I mentioned, mytech.com/events is where you will find all that. Again, we published events every other week through the rest of the year, so you find those there online at that page. The only other call out that I'll do is that for those of you who we call them power users. So you're not a global admin, you're not the technical person that's managing your account. It could be something like we're like a global admin for our clients, but you're the internal person that really starts connecting those dots and helping understand how the back end of Microsoft 365 and Teams and SharePoint and all those things start working together. We want to help you get a better grasp of how those tools work and how those systems work, so we can partner together to help deploy and optimize the way in which you use those tools inside your organization. It's really, so we've created even a special permission set inside of Microsoft 365 that we call Power User, because we want you to be able to help your organization drive adoption of those, again, Microsoft 365 tools. So that was one of the things I'd encourage you. We do those once a month. The next one, I believe, is on September 9th. So next week, next Thursday, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday. So please join us then. And without further ado, thanks for attending. For those of you who were watching live, I really appreciate you spending your time with us today. We're going to conclude the session and we'll open it up for questions. For those of you who have to leave, thank you very much. Please share if this can be valuable. We look forward to seeing you on a future session. That said, Stephanie, let's open it up for questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Nate. Actually, there might be a problem with Teams right now because the Q&A is down. It's saying there's an error.
That's not good.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on my mobile device and it's not allowing me to view it. I don't know if something that you can see, and maybe it's just on my end, but
see if I can see it. Let me pull it up. Good question. So, and the Q&A. Yeah, I'm only seeing, I'm seeing it, but I'm not seeing any comments or questions on there. So I don't know if that's what you were alluding to. Are you even seeing this, Stephanie?
Seeing more than I can see. It says an error has occurred.
Maybe that's just on your Teams.
Yeah.
Well, let's open it up for any questions if people have any. The key parts I'll go through. Actually, the one thing I'll show you really quick as we're prompting for additional questions. I'm going to go just to the into the Chrome. So going to the Chrome, if you click up the little breadcrumbs or the ellipses up here, this is also where you can go down to your settings in Chrome. And in Chrome, it's you have to do one more click. It's privacy. Where is it? It's passwords down here. I'm sorry. It's passwords and payment methods. This is where you can choose and manage your passwords and payment methods in Chrome. It's very similar to the Edge browser. By clicking up in the corner here, there's a little breadcrumb or ellipse, and you just click on settings. And when you get into settings, you can choose passwords. And this is also where you can turn on or off the auto sign in and offer to save passwords. So this is where I'd recommend as you go through these and you reset up your password and set up a new account, I would click on the breadcrumbs, click remove, and then eventually I would say, and then start by turning off offer to save passwords and turn off auto sign in. That way, those are a couple things you're going to want to do on any browser that you use. Again, if it's the Edge browser or a Chrome browser, or hopefully you're not on the Internet Explorer anymore, or Firefox, Safari, I'm sure that they all have different places, but I just wanted to show Chrome and the Edge browser as a possibility. As far as the last thing you're going to want to do as you go through is make sure that stuff is turned off. because your browser, while Chrome and Edge, they try and keep it up to date as much as possible. It's just not something that I would trust to keep that information. So that would be the only thing that I would check, and I wanted to show you just the Chrome side as well. So. All right, so it looks like I just got a text message from one of the attendees, actually, Stephanie, and said that the Q&A is not working for that either. So we'll just go ahead and adjourn. Again, I'll say thank you everyone for attending and for joining us. Again, this session, it was kind of near and dear to my heart because it's one of those things that I've known, and probably like you have for a long time, that this is something you should do. And it's going to take a little bit of time to go through it, but it wasn't that difficult to set it up. And I know that even my wife, I want to make sure that my wife and I can share account information. You don't have to do that if you don't want to do that with your spouse or your partner, but we do. And that's one of the things that this gives us a great option to be able to do that. So thank you. Please take care of your digital world by adding this layer of security of a password vault. Also add your payment information in there. And as Brian Krebs mentioned, please plant your digital flag to keep your online world secure. So thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you at a future session.